Hello, everyone, and welcome to Immigration and Jobs Talk Show. Before we start off our session today, I just wanted to tell you that by watching our videos, you agree and understand that the information provided by our experts and attorneys, including comments and replies from users, is not legal advice. So, use of information is at your own risk. And once again, friends, hello and welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us, whether you have joined us on YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, or Twitter. I am Nipasa Pradhan, your host for today, and we're going to have a webinar for an hour now. It's going to be the Ask the Expert session, where you can ask anything. And of course, I'll be very thrilled to have all of you drop your questions wherever you have joined us, wherever you're watching us from. So interact with us, participate with us. This webinar is going to be a very interesting one today. And we are diving into a topic that's on many minds. Yes. So will there be a second round of H-1B visa lottery, friends? To help us navigate this subject today, we have our guest for today, none other than attorney Prashanthi Reddy, an expert attorney specializing in immigration law. So welcome back, Prashanthi, and thank you for joining us today. How are you doing?
I'm good, thanks. How are you, Nipasa? It's always a pleasure to be on the show.
Thank you so much. Yes, I look forward, and I was uh, at first sad that you wouldn't be joining us, but then so excited. Thank you so much for joining us, and I'm sure folks out there are also very excited for this session today. So, yes, are you, Prashanti? What can folks expect from us today in this episode?
We thought we'd do today and ask me anything and focus on really on whatever questions we get from the audience, and let's hope we get a
Mhm.
lot of interesting questions. Um, and again, my opinion, and I'll talk. I'll try not to talk too much so that we can give more opportunity for questions. But we'll discuss a little bit about what to expect. Cap season has started. We're seeing
Yes.
people have started filing. What to expect? Will everyone file? What registrations that have been picked? Will everyone file their H1s, or will it be like last year where people got picked but no one filed, and so they had to have a second round lottery? So I guess we
Right.
will dive into that a little bit.
For sure, for sure. And I can already see folks out there dropping their questions. Very excited. We will be taking each one of them one by one. But before that, for folks who have joined us today for the first time, this is none other than Attorney Prashanthi Reddy. She's an immigration law expert. She has been practicing for over 25 years now. And Prashanthi's law office, that is um, Prashanti, would you like to tell us about yourself a little bit and also your law office? Maybe people would like to come and contact you directly.
Sure. So we're located in Midtown Manhattan, close to Penn Station, in New York. Um, if you're not from New York or New Jersey, you won't know where Penn Station is. So I have to tell you where we are. I just presume that everybody knows about New York because I live there, but that's not true.
Yes.
And I've been practicing since 1997, so close to 30 years now, I'm going to be. But yeah, so 25 plus. I do business immigration. We take care of H's, L's, TNs, you name it, E3, green card
Mhm.
cases, employment based 485s, EB 1, 2, and 3, as well as F1, that is student visas, and also
Mhm.
family based. I-130, 485, if you want to bring your mom, to the US on a green card and you're a US citizen, then, we can take care of that for you. If you have a spouse who's from outside the country and you want to bring her in, and you're a permanent resident or a US citizen, we can take care of that kind of family immigration as well. Children, any immediate relative, we can do it immediately because there's no visa number required for
Mhm.
immediate relatives. So that's something that can be done immediately. All other categories, of course, you require a visa number. So that depends on, we could, so we file the I-130 first, and then when the visa number becomes available, we file the 485. So this is what we do. And I can be reached at reddysq.com. And if you need to reach me over the phone, 212 354 1010. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Prashanthi. And folks out there, this is an Ask Me Anything session. So please feel free, to type your questions in the chat or comment section on any platform you're watching. And yes, we'll do our best, to address as many of your questions as possible. So let's get started. I think, Prashanthi, without further ado, let's take up our first question today. And that is on YouTube from Shushant. Shushant is asking, I am on L1 and filing H1B petition. Does my status automatically change to H-1B by October 1st after my H-1B approval? Or can I continue to work on L1 and change to H-1B later after I find a better opportunity?
So if you're filing a change of status, then once the H1 gets approved, and if the change of status is also approved, there are two parts to it. One is you're filing for a H1 petition to get it approved, and so if you qualify, that'll get approved. And then you're filing within that for a change of status. You're requesting a change of status. So as long as you are currently in status, your change of status um, request will also get approved. In which case, then your status automatically changes to a H1 from an L1. And so, as of the approval, you have to, since you requested it and it got approved, your status changes to a H1. So you'll have to work on a H1. If you don't want that to happen, then you should file for a H1 counselor processing, and then at your leisure, leave the country, go get a visa, and then come back on a H1. Then you can control, when you want to change to a H1. So that's how you would do it.
Okay, thank you so much, Prashanthi. And I hope, Shushant, that was pretty clear. If you have more questions, we are here for some time, so keep commenting, all right? Let's take up the next one. This is from Rakhi on YouTube again, asking, my employer is starting my H-1B petition since it got picked up in the second round of lottery. I wanted to know if I can book visa slot for Dropbox in India before my H-1B petition gets approved. Can I?
I wouldn't advise that, though I see why you're saying that, because it's taking so long to get the visa slot. Um, I do think that they ask for the information about your H1, the receipt number, etc., when you're booking the slot. Actually, maybe not, because I know a lot of notarios are booking visa slots without actually a person behind the visa slot. So they just book visa slots and then sell them. So I know that. So you could, but I would advise against it, because you don't know whether that H1 is going to be approved or not. I would suggest that you do it after you get the approval. Though you could book it and then cancel it if you didn't need it.
Okay. Raki, I hope that is pretty much clear for you. And if you have more questions or you need more clarity, you can keep commenting your questions. All right. Let's go on to the next one. This is Riha asking, also on YouTube. When does the second round of the H-1B visa lottery typically take place? And what are the important deadlines for submitting applications and supporting documents?
So the second lottery would take place after all the present cases are filed. So the deadline to file the H1s for the first lottery is June 30th. So once that's done, then USCIS will take note of how many H1s were filed. And if they see that the 85,000 cap is met, then they will not have another lottery. But if they see that, people they've obviously picked quite a few registrations and more than 85,000. So if they see that, those people have filed, even if some people haven't, if that 85,000 number has still been met, taking into account ones that didn't file, they always pick more, as I said. So if they have enough from the first pick, then they won't do another lottery. But if they see that despite having picked more than needed, if that is not enough, and if those people who have not filed registrations, who have filed registrations don't file a H1, then they might have another lottery. So yeah, the when is anytime after June 30th. It could be in August, it could be in September. So we just have to wait and see.
Okay. Okay, great. Let's look forward. Let's see what happens. And what do you think, Prashanti? How is it going otherwise, right now for you two? I mean, you must be also dealing with some of the H-1B cases or going to deal with in this next month. So how busy is it going to be for you?
It's already busy, and I'm hoping that people will give me documents sooner so that I don't. We then are not stressed out in the last moment, right, to send out cases.
Yeah.
But that's how it is. They're always either they're waiting for the beneficiaries to confirm whether the H1 want they want to file the H1 or not, or they're waiting for documents. Sometimes employers don't have the POs that they want, and they're hoping to get it, and they're holding off because of that. So it's always Nipasa busy in June because it's everything is always last minute. Even if you have 90 days, they will file
Mhm.
it in the last 30 days. So and what happens because of that is, you end up not, paying attention to a lot of things, because if you're in a last minute crunch, then you can't afford to do a lot of things that we would otherwise do in our office, right? I mean, looking at
Mhm.
every detail carefully, doing an evaluation before filing of the case. So now you can't do an evaluation because the evaluators won't give you the evaluation because they're so busy, right?
Mhm.
Um, so I just like the things to get done in advance so that we can do it properly, but it's not always in my hands. I'm complaining, but yeah, all of us immigration attorneys go through this stress. In the month
Sure.
of
Oh,
June,
sure.
but it's all good. Business, if we have business, that's, we can't complain. But,
Right.
just for people out there, file your H1 is ASAP. Don't wait until the last minute because of any, if the package is not sent properly, if something happens, then if it comes back, it could come back after June 30th, and then, your window of opportunity is gone.
Right. Anyway, let's take up this next one. It's already on the screen. This is from Rishabh on YouTube asking, my H-1B got selected in second attempt this year. I heard that there's another round of layoffs in my organization in a couple of months. If we switch job before October, do we lose the H-1B also?
Um, so I just have to, based on everything that he's saying, Rishabh, I have to understand what his situation is because he's not very clear. But I'm presuming that he's on a H1, it got approved, working with company A, but now before the October, which is the start date of the H1, he wants to move to company B, is what I'm presuming. So the question is whether you're cap exempt or not. I think you are, because even if you have not started working, you could still be, but I would be a little cautious about it. I would, if you want to change, I would change after October, once your H1 actually officially starts. Then, of course, you're cap exempt. Even if you don't start working for that company, you'll still be cap exempt. But filing it before October 1st, before your H1 starts, it could be a stretch, but you could still be cap exempt. But I would rather do it if I have, if you have the chance and if you have the choice of doing it after October 1st, the switching.
Okay. Okay. Thank you so much for taking that up for Rishabh. And Rishabh, if you have more questions, we are here for some more time. All right, let's move on, Prashanti, right, to the next question. This is from Sid. This is on YouTube also. What if your pay is around $1,200 less than minimum wage of the H-1B application? Should I require to match minimum wage for from H-1B start October date, or is it, or does it need to be, or does it need to be that during petition? I hope that is clear.
Um, Yeah, so the prevailing wage, it's the prevailing wage, not the minimum wage. So the prevailing wage has to be paid as of the start of the H1, that's on October 1st or later if you get the approval later, whenever you start. And it doesn't have to be from the date that the H1B is filed or when it's pending. So you might be on an F1 now. You can continue to get paid your F1 wages, and only October 1st you will have to raise the your employer has to raise the your wage to be equivalent to the prevailing wage. It cannot be less than that. If you think your employer will not do that, then again, Maybe you want to file for a H1 consular processing if you have not done that already. And then choose to start at a later point when your employer is willing and able to give you that prevailing wage. Then your status doesn't automatically change as of October 1st. You file consular processing, you get the approval, you have to leave the country and go for a visa. So if you're willing to do that, then you can use your H1 at a later point and continue to be on your F1. So that's one way of doing it.
All right, all right. Thank you so much. And Prashanti, we've had questions in our previous sessions also, and they have commented in our YouTube pages. The links where we have posted them. So I think it's very wise to take them up as well. So let's take this one first from Sivaram I Reddy. Hi, this is just an academic question. What is the validity of H-1B once it is issued? A A case in point is H-1B was issued to Mr. X in 2004. Can it be reused?
So the validity is will be on the petition. Um, so I think what he's asking is not what is the duration of the H1, but he's asking how, can I, as long, so the answer to that is as long as um, there is validity on the petition. So you have to see what the I-797 notice says, and if it's still valid, so for example, if you got it for 3 years, it'll be valid for 3 years. So you can use it within that duration. So that is your validity.
All right. Okay, thank you. I hope that is pretty clear. And let's take up the next one also immediately. This is from Siddharth Sharma asking, hello, thank you for the wonderful video. I had a F1 visa that expired last year. Based on your video, I qualify for a visa waiver interview for B1, B2, but the questionnaire on scheduling website is asking me if I held a previous B1, B2 visa. If I select no, it takes me to the normal interview scheduling. If I select yes, it takes me to the Dropbox appointment. I'm confused. Why is there not a question for F1 or other non-immigration visa? What do I do?
Right. So I'm not quite sure because I don't deal with consular processing and entering, the application forms. I'm not sure why it's not appearing, but generally, so previously what it used to be is that only if you had a visa in the same denomination would you qualify for a visa waiver. So say you had a B2 before and now you're applying for an extension, that's when you qualify for the visa waiver. But then I also heard that people who had a different kind of visa status, but I think that doesn't apply to B2. For a B2 visa waiver, you have to previously have been on a B2 and then only you'll get the visa waiver. But if it was, I think, some other visa, then like F1 to a H1, something like that, then you might still qualify for a visa waiver. Uh, Again, I'm not 100% sure, so I don't want to say something that, could be wrong.
Mhm.
But I think for a B2 specifically, you have to previously have held a B2 visa to qualify for that waiver of the interview.
Okay. Thank you for taking that up, Prashanthi. Let's move on to the next one. Um, let's take up this next one on YouTube from Haza asking, or okay, no, the one on yeah. Let's take that up. So this is from user. I applied for C1D visa and consulate officer said he had requested for waiver on my behalf. Does it mean he had applied for me for waiver? And also, please kindly advise how the further process works.
What's a
So
C1D? What is it? I can't see the.
you
And
can't see.
there's not
Okay.
enough information. Why waiver?
So there
What
is
was
more
the purpose
information.
of?
Hi, ma'am. Still, I didn't receive any email from consulate. Also, I'm not able to track the waiver status. Please kindly, if you have a link or contact details of Mumbai US consulate to track my waiver details, share with me.
Yeah, it's very
Okay.
hard. I don't know what the waiver is based on, but if you're filing for a waiver and you're trying to get information on it, first of all, to get an approval on a waiver is very difficult. In most instances, they don't approve it. Of course, it depends on what basis you're filing the waiver. Is it a non-immigrant visa waiver or is it an immigrant visa waiver? Um, if it's an immigrant visa waiver and you have a U.S. citizen spouse or something like that, that's easier. These non-immigrant visa waivers are very difficult to get, and the consulate is difficult to contact. Whatever email is on their website is what I use to contact the consulate, and they don't always respond. And even if they respond, sometimes it's an automated response, so you don't really get much information from them. If I get a denial of a waiver, then I think that the denial was not done on proper grounds, then I usually approach LegalNet, um, so that they can review the denial and give their opinion, and then I would send that back to the consulate. But in your case, that's not the case. The waiver's decision still hasn't come, so I would just use the regular Mumbai consulate email address that's on their website to contact them further.
Thank you so much, Prashanthi, for that advice. And yeah, thank you so much for taking that up. Let's move on to the next question we have today. This is from Hazel on YouTube, asking what legal and compliance issues should applicants and employers be aware of in the second round of the H-1B visa lottery, and how can these issues be effectively addressed?
Uh, we don't know, first of all, if there will be a second round or not, but I presume she's asking if there is a second round this year.
Mhm.
Then what are the issues, if any? There are no additional complications or issues that is different from the first round. With the second round, if they do have a second round, then um, what will happen is that they will give you 90 days from the start date. So you'll get another 90 days. So if they do it in July, then you'll get 90 days after that, after the date that they announce it. Um, that's it. There is no additional, there's no differences between filing a H1 for the first lottery or filing it for the second lottery. The start date, of course, can't be October 1st because, that's one of the things that start date should be October 1st or later. Now, USCIS has clarified that, and especially for the second lottery, because you might be filing the petition after October 1st, so you can't put a date that has already passed. They have clarified it can be October 1st or later. So you put whatever date that you're starting, but it cannot be more than, or you can put a later date also, as long as it's within 6 months um, of filing the petition. You can't put a date which is more than 6 months out. So as long as you're following that, I think it's pretty much the same, first lottery or second lottery.
Okay, thank you so much. Hazel, I hope that is pretty clear. And if you have more questions, keep dropping them in the comments, all right? Going to Pavan, this is on YouTube again, asking, I am going through an attorney for a fiance visa. I got an RFE, but my attorney is busy with H-1B petitions for a month. Instead, can I mail the documents to USCIS myself? Fiance visa and
Instead, can I
divorce.
mail the document to USCIS myself? It's a simple divorce copy. Okay. Um, You should be able to, but I would ask you to just send it to your attorney for review. Um, and I understand that they must be busy because we are too, everybody is. Uh, so I would just send it to them first and ask them if it's okay and then mail it myself. Just ask them to review it. I'm sure they'll have time to review it. Maybe not have time to send it out, but maybe review. They might be able to review
Mhm.
it. So try that.
Okay, all the best, Pavan. And yeah, let's move on to the next one then. All right, this is Varnika. Varnika on YouTube asking, I recently got picked in the second H-1B lottery. How long is the normal processing time for someone who files after getting picked in the second lottery?
So I guess everyone who's talking about the second lottery here is talking about last year's second lottery because
Probably.
there's been no second lottery this year.
Yeah, no
There's only been
lottery.
one
This no second
lottery.
lottery this year.
Um,
Yeah.
so I'm not quite sure what they mean by second lottery. I'm presuming they're talking about last year because we've had a bunch of
Yeah, for
questions. So I'm
sure.
wondering what I've missed. Have I has there been a second lottery and I missed it? So I don't think so. So if you're talking about, and please do clarify if you can, but if you're talking about the second lottery from last year, then the question is, I recently got picked. How long is the normal processing time for someone who files? It's the same processing time that for any H1 cap petition. Doesn't matter first lottery or second lottery. And they're also saying I recently got picked. So I mean, the second lottery took place last year in November sometime. So
Mhm.
I really, I think they're just misnaming this year's first lottery or second lottery again. So guys, there's only been one lottery this year,
Mhm.
and it got over in March, and we could file the petitions from April, and you stop filing petitions, you can no longer file after June. So in any case, it's a normal processing time, about 4 months, 3 to 4 months. If it's regular processing, if you do premium processing, it's 30 days. But if you do premium processing, they usually process it within a week. That's what we've been seeing. So that's the processing time.
Okay, thank you so much, Prashanthi, for taking that up. And Varnika, I hope that was pretty clear. But if you want, I mean, we would also like to know which lottery are you talking about. So if you could clarify,
Yeah,
was it the one in
right.
November or March? Yeah, that'd be great. Thank you so much. All right, moving on. Let's take Baldeep Singh asking how will a second round of H-1B visa lottery impact the processing timelines and approval rates for pending H-1B visa applications, and what strategies can applicants use to minimize delays and ensure success?
I Good question. I don't think it will impact the processing of the present petitions that are being filed, the first lottery petitions. They shouldn't. There's no reason to impact those cases. The USCIS will follow the normal standards for approvability based on whether it's a specialty occupation, whether there's
Mhm.
availability of work, whether the person, if filing for a change of status, is presently in status. So these are things that they look at, and they'll continue to look at it, I think, in the same way, whether there's one lottery or two lotteries. And so I don't think that'll impact the processing. What will impact the processing is if there is some new law. Um, there is a new potential a new law which is not yet finalized, but it has been published, a proposed regulation. And if that proposed regulation gets approved or is published or finalized before the cap season is over, then that will certainly impact your pending petitions as well as petitions that have not yet been filed under cap, and that will make it more difficult for H1s to get approved because they will go back to asking for POs and work orders, etc. So if that comes in, it'll definitely affect, but it doesn't affect I mean, cases are not affected simply because there's a second lottery.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much for taking that up for Baldeep Singh and
You're
folks
welcome.
out
And
there. If you
Nipasa,
have
should
direct,
we? Nipasa, should we
yeah.
also talk about the actual topic, whether I think there will be a second lottery or not? We should
Yes, for
talk
sure.
about
But
that
I,
before the
yes,
yeah.
for sure, for sure. I was just thinking we'll go for a break, but yeah, let's do it before the break
Okay,
then. Uh,
sure. Okay, fine, fine. So
so yeah, the big
do you
topic
want to do it
today. Yes. So
after the
will
break?
there
Or?
be a second lottery? What do you think? What do you think, Prashanti? Will there be a second round to the lottery?
Yeah, right. So just going through the numbers from the previous years to give you a perspective, right, of what the previous year's numbers look like. So if you look at last year, there were 188,000 applications picked, but then they were picked in two rounds because there were two lotteries. They first picked about 100,000, 110,000 applications, and then No one filed because of the whole multiple registration issue. And then, so they picked, another 88,000 applications for the second round. So that is, of course, something that never happens. So we can't take that as a benchmark. So 188,000 applications being picked, and in order to fulfill 85,000 cases, that 100,000 people didn't file last year. But that's an anomaly, so you can't uh, take that as an example. But if you look at the year before in 2023, 127 selections, 127,600 selections were made. This year, it's 120,600, 603, so about 7,000 less from 2023. If we look at 2023 as a more normal year, because if you look at the number of registrations in 2023, it was 474,000 compared to 470,000 this year, which is also considered to be a normal year, right? So if we look at 2023, 127,000 numbers were sufficient. They did not have a second lottery in that year. So that was enough to cover the 85,000. So, even if there were some people who didn't file, it was not that many. This year, it's not the same as 2023 because 2023, the business was good. Everyone was filing H-1B petitions. So again, this is not from the market point of view a normal year. A lot of people are not filing because the market is so slow. The IT market, the tech market is so slow that a lot of people are hesitating to file. They did file the registrations, hoping that the market will pick up. And so they're waiting to see if the market will pick up or not before filing their H-1B petitions. And they don't have much longer that they can wait because they have to start filing next month. So that is the key factor here, the condition of the market. And some people are saying they're already seeing an uptick. So if they don't, so it depends on this is psychology, right? So human psychology. Do they think that if they file it by the time the people come, which could be next year, which could be sometime later this year, do they expect the economy to get better? So they're all looking at the numbers, doing some predictions, and then deciding whether to file or not. So that's the X factor here. We don't know that. And if we don't know that, then we don't know how many people are filing. But definitely something to keep in mind that there might be a second lottery because of this element of uncertainty. But that's the best anyone can do, right? You can only predict. And even if there is a second lottery, it's not going to be um, that many numbers that will be chosen, right? So it's 88,000. They're not going to choose 88,000 again. It'll be very few numbers that they will need. I would say about 10, 20,000. So even if we get picked again, it's not going to be a big lottery, but it might be a lottery where you might get lucky and get selected. But it's not going to be a big lottery like last time when they picked so many cases again, almost the same number of cases as the first lottery, right? So that's my prediction. There is a chance that there'll be a second lottery because of the market conditions, but it's not going to be uh, that a lot of cases are going to be picked again.
Right, Prashanthi. Thank you so much for, well, the biggest question for today. I mean, the topic for today, will there be a second round of H-1B visa lottery? Thank you for taking that up. And so, yes, moving on. This has been a fantastic discussion so far. And before we continue, I just wanted to make sure that you all have Prashanthi's contact details in case you need further consultation and you want to consult with her directly. So you can reach Attorney Prashanthi Reddy, and the details are on the screen. You can call her in the number 212-354-1010. Once again, I'll repeat 212 354-1010. And you can even email her at prashanthi@reddyesq.com and visit her website, reddyesq.com. And folks out there, don't go anywhere because we will take up all of your questions. Stay with us. And Prashanthi is also very excited to answer them all. So don't go anywhere. This is Nipasa Pradhan on Immigration and Jobs Talk Show. Consultant seeking a new opportunity? We offer job placement services for US citizens, green cards, EADs, and visa holders. We also sponsor various work visas like H-1B, E3, TN, and green cards. 20 plus years of experience in the industry. Exceptional employee benefits. Highly rated by our employees. Global presence with 200 plus recruiters and direct clients. Connect with us. Call us in the number 408 335 6444 or mail us at nipa@higheritpeople.com or visit our website www.higheritpeople.com. Hello and welcome back, everyone, to Immigration and Jobs Talk Show. I hope you had a nice break. And for those joining us, I am Nipasa Pradhan, your host for today. And we're just done with the first half, back from the break. And we're going to be taking up more questions in this second half. And we have none other than Attorney Prashanthi Reddy discussing the possibility of a second round of H-1B visa lottery. So remember that this is an Ask Me Anything session. So wherever you have joined us from, keep commenting your questions. We are very happy to take them up. All right. So let's dive back in, Prashanthi. I hope you're ready.
I'm ready.
All right, so let's take up Vivek. Vivek on YouTube is asking if a second round of the H-1B visa lottery is announced, an applicant who was not selected in the initial lottery is selected in the second round, but their employer has since withdrawn their sponsorship or gone out of business. Interplay interplay between the lottery session, employer sponsorship, and visa insurance. So the
Issuance.
question is what,
Issuance.
yeah, what are the applicants' options for obtaining an H-1B visa and how can they navigate the complexities, I guess.
Um, right. So then it's quite simple, not as complicated as you're making it sound, Vivek. It's quite simple. You can't file the H1 because if uh, if your employer registered for you and then went out of business, then you cannot proceed with filing a H1 because you have to file the H1 with that person who did your registration. You cannot file a H1 with another employer. So that's it, unfortunately. Um, so hopefully your employer won't go out of business. Maybe he'll file the H1 and then maybe he can stall going out of business, file the H1 for you, get an approval, get you on the payroll, then you can file a transfer afterwards. So maybe he can hold off on declaring bankruptcy until he files your petition and it gets approved.
Mhm. All right. Thank you for taking that up for Vivek. And well, yes, not so complicated as it sounds, but thank you for at least being detailed about yourself. You made the situation so much clearer for Prashanthi to give an answer, right, Prashanthi?
Yes, absolutely.
All right, so let's take this one from Nidhi on YouTube asking, I've been waiting for over a year for my H-1B visa application to be processed, and I have recently received a notice of intent to deny NOID due to a minor documentation error. So what are my best options? Sorry, if a second round of the H-1B visa lottery is announced, can I reapply and potentially get selected again? Or will my previous denial and the ongoing application process impact my chances?
So you have to, yeah.
Sure, go on. We'll take up the next after that.
So there is no reapplying for the lottery. Remember, if a second lottery means that they're going to hold another round of picks, they're going to have another lottery for the existing people who registered in March. So you're not going to be able to reapply again. But if you've already been picked one time, you're not going to be picked again, right? So you can't reapply. You can't. You're removed from the pool, so you're not going to be picked again. So that's not going to work out the way you thought it would. Um,
Mhm.
so you'll have to potentially What was the issue with the why can't they file the H-1B petition this time? Go back and see what the issue is. Oh yeah, there's an NOID due to a minor document. So notice of intent to deny doesn't mean it's been denied.
Mhm.
It's just, but it is a pretty strong intent to deny. It's not like a request for further evidence where they're just asking for documents. It looks like they've come to a conclusion that the case will be denied, and I'm not sure why. It could be something that
Mhm.
can't be fixed. Um, yeah, but so you're kind of out of luck. You should try and apply for the lottery again next year. But try your best to
Mm.
respond, and hopefully you have an attorney. And if you don't, then definitely get an attorney to respond to the NOID.
Yes, I think that would be very wise. And there's another question Nidhi is asking actually. So she's asking, what are my best options for overcoming this setback and achieving my goal of working in the US? The only
Don't lose heart. Respond to the NOID as best as possible,
Mhm.
and then file for your registration again next year. There
All
are
right.
other alternatives to the H1 as well, which we discussed, last session. You can file, you can go on the video and check also, right,
Yes.
Nipasa, the alternatives to the
Yes.
H1. Um,
Yes.
but you could file for an L1 if you qualify. That is, if
Hmm.
you're doing a managerial position, you're willing to go back to, if you have a company that has an office abroad, and if there is a relationship between the office abroad, the company there, and the company here in the US. And if you go back and work as in a managerial position or an executive position for a period of 1 year, and then you can come back on an L1, and an L1 is much better than a H1, in fact, because you
Hmm.
qualify for EB1 if it's an L1A. So that's definitely a possibility. So there are other options for you. So don't lose heart, or just file for registration again next year.
Right. Right. All the best, Nidhi. Don't lose heart. There'll always be some way or another where you can definitely go and live your American dream for sure. All right, let's take up this one. Yes, S. Reddy asking, I got selected in H-1B cap. I have job offer starting February 2025. Is it okay to start job in February? Okay.
You can't, you have to file the H1 by June, and you cannot have a start date further than December because it has to be within 6 months, the start date. So February is too late. Um, I would instead do just a consular processing so that um, you put the immediate start date, and but you don't arrive into the country until February, which is fine. By the time you go through the whole visa thing and you get an approval, file in regular processing, it will be that around that time anyway, and then you can then change your status to come in on a H1 in February and then start working on a get a visa and come in and then start working in February or whenever you choose to.
Hmm. Okay. All the best. All the best to S. Reddy. Let's take up the next one now. All right. Let's move on to Chandan. Chandan asking, my H-1B was picked in second round of lottery. So this must be last year again. Am currently on L1B
H
and wife is
L2.
it
Okay.
L1B? Yeah,
Yeah, might be L1B. Yeah.
L1B and wife is on L2s. Wife does online business of selling goods on eBay. Now, since change of status will happen from L2 to H4, I believe she cannot do any kind of work until EAD is approved. Is this correct?
Yes, it is. You have to wait for the H4 EAD to get approved before you can work. Unlike an L2, which you can work automatically if you have the L2 status and you don't need to wait for EAD. On a H4, it's different. You have to wait for the actual EAD approval.
Okay. So, is it like degrading or something like that? Like coming
Yeah, the
down from
benefit, the
higher
H4, yeah,
position?
yeah, I mean, the L2 has more benefits than H4 does because it's also harder to get an L1. Not everyone qualifies for the L1, right? So Being on an L2, they've given it more advantages. There are definitely more advantages to an L2 when compared to a H4. But then there are more people on a H4, so I guess that's why they did that.
Okay. All right. Okay, we will take up all these other questions in today's stream right now, but let's take up the other ones in our previous session. We had some more questions for you, Prashanthi. So these are questions that can only be answered by the expert. So let's take this one. This is Vimal asking, facing the same issue here. I'm not so sure which one. I had F1 visa before, which expired last August, and want to apply B2 to attend my best friend's wedding. I filed DS 160 and created profile at US Visa scheduling website, but in interview waiver section, it's not showing me these new questions and directing me to schedule an appointment. I don't understand what's the issue as I'm clearly eligible according to the criteria they listed. Any help will be appreciated.
Let's get back to these people, Nipasa. Just since we have a bunch of people asking these questions, let me research it again. But as far as
Sure.
I know, for a B2, there is no interview waiver if you've not been on a B2 before. But let's look at it again since this is the second person that's asking that, and we'll respond to that YouTube offline, that YouTube comment offline.
All right, sure, Prashanti. I think that'll be best then. I will forward these questions, which can only be answered by you, an expert. So, all right, let's jump in right back to our session today. Then we have some more questions from our active viewers. Thank you so much for being so participative and interactive. It'll be so nice to also get to know where you're actually joining us from, which state or city. Please tell us. All right. So, yeah, we have Sai on YouTube again asking, I heard that USCIS will be conducting a second round of lottery for H-1B visas. Very nice. I didn't hear that yet. But yes, I have recently changed my employer, and my previous employer had filed for my H-1B this year. I did not get picked last time. Did I completely lose my chance for H-1B this year, or is there any other way?
I'm not sure what the fact scenario is. Did not get picked, got picked, second lottery, first lottery. So, I am presuming then I heard you say, okay, I have recently changed my employer. My previous employer had filed for H1. I did not get picked last time. So this time, did he get picked? Is that what it means? I
No,
don't
he's
know.
asking,
So,
so did he completely lose his chance since he did not get picked last time? That's what he's asking.
oh,
Or is there going to be any chance?
it's not about last time. It's about this time. So if you filed a registration this time, and again, correct me if I'm misunderstand the question, Nipasa. If you did not get picked last time, then you could have filed the registration this time in March, and not getting picked one time doesn't mean that you will not get picked the next time. It does not impact you in any way. But if you have not get picked, did not get picked this time in the registration, then um, if there is a second round this year, then there's a chance that you might get picked. Hopefully that answers your
Okay, let's
question.
always hope for the
So you did
best, I
not
think, yes.
completely lose your chance if you have filed if you have filed your registration this year. It doesn't matter what you did last year.
Mhm.
There's a chance that you might get picked in the second round if they have it. We don't know as yet. We have not
We
heard that
don't know.
there'll be a second round, and you will not hear that there will be a second round until the first round gets over. So they don't know yet how many people have filed. So they have to first get that number.
Right, Shanti. Yes, thank you so much for making that so much clearer for us. So, Sai, I hope that is clear for you too. But let's not lose hope. Let's stay positive. Anything can happen. So, I'll only say good luck, all the best. Okay, moving on to Ansa on YouTube asking, can H4 dependent of H1B works?
Yes, but you
Work in the
the H
USA.
one
Okay.
work in you. Okay, yes, but your spouse should have an I-140 approved. If the I-140 is approved, then you can apply for a H4 EAD by filing a form I-765. And once you get the approval, then you can work.
Okay. All the best, Ansa. Sure, you should go with it. Let's take up Dipankar I am interested. Interested in? Sorry, I didn't get to the bunker, but sure, you could tell us what are you interested in, and maybe we could direct you how to go about it. Or maybe you're interested to know if there will be a second lottery. So we will definitely keep you updated. I think this is the right place, where you are at. So subscribe to us. Our channel is Immigration and Jobs Talk Show. And once we have that answer, we are sure going to update you. We'll be the first to update you. All right. Yeah, Manoj now on YouTube is asking, my H-1B got picked in the second lottery. How much time it takes for my H-1B to get approved if I don't opt for premium processing? In general, how much time it takes for approval?
Um, if you don't opt for again, I'm going to ignore the second lottery part, but I'm presuming that you got picked this year. Good for you. How much time does it take for the H1 to get approved? It takes about 4 months, 4 to 5 months. And if you do premium processing, then takes they're supposed to take 30 days, but they usually approve it within a week or so. How much time it takes for approval? Yeah, so about 4 months, 4 to 5 months is the normal processing time if you don't opt for uh, premium processing.
Okay, thank you for taking that up for Manoj. Let's take up Vishnu asking, if I get my visa approved from USCIS and let's imagine my company laid off, I did not get my visa stamped for consulate yet. Will the visa be invalid? Get invalid?
You did not get the visa, so there's nothing for it to get in, no visa to get invalid. But if you've been laid off after the approval and you don't go for a visa as yet, then what you can do is file for another H1 cap exempt petition because you've previously been counted towards a cap, and then go for a visa based on that new approval. That's what you should be doing.
Okay. All the best, Vishnu. Let's move on quickly to the next question now. This is from Zaki asking, what are some common mistakes to avoid when applying for the second round of H-1B visa lottery? And how can applicants ensure their application is complete and accurate?
Um, Same thing that you would do for any H1, make sure that um, you are sending it to the right address. Very important because it's very confusing now. With reference, they've changed everything. Make sure you send out the right fee. That's again very confusing because again they've changed everything as of August 1st. Um, so right fee, the correct checks, write the checks properly. Don't make a mistake, a clerical error on the checks. Send it out to the right address. Make sure you qualify the job that you're filing the H1 for, do some groundwork, make sure that it is a specialty occupation which requires a bachelor's degree in a specific field. That's very important. If you are presently in status, make sure you submit documents to show that you're in status. Otherwise, your change of status application will get denied. So these are the few things that you can do. Of course, when you're filling out the forms, make sure everything is accurate and you give accurate information to your attorney. These forms have to be signed in the correct place. If they're not signed, then they'll be returned back, and then you may not have the chance to refile if they're returned back after June 30th. So, these are a few things I think, Nipasa, that everyone can keep in mind in order to successfully file a H1.
Thank you so much, Prashanthi, for giving us that tip. I would say that will be very beneficial to folks out there who are applying or who are in this situation right now. So now, last but not the least, let's take up this question from Dipankar, who was very interested. So thank you, Dipankar, for asking the question. So, what can I do for visa? Now, this is a very broad question, but Prashanthi, please, if you can give a nice answer to Dipankar.
I will try because I don't know which visa he's asking, but I'm presuming he's asking about H1. As attorneys, the thing is, I keep saying this because I can't presume. I hate
Mhm.
presuming what the client is saying, and I'd rather they be more specific as to what they want so I can answer exactly the way the answer that
Right.
they are looking for. So anyway, presuming that it's on a H1, In order to file a H-1B visa, you have to, if you have never been on a H-1 before, you have to file a registration. Your employer has to file a registration. Before the
Mhm.
registration period gets up, usually the registration opens up in March and closes towards the end of March. So you have to make sure that you do that. And again, as I said, I gave you a few tips as to how to successfully file. Make sure it's the job is a specialty occupation. You do the right checks. You sign in the correct places. You send out the right fees, and you send it to the right address. And
Mhm.
always make sure you use someone who knows what they're doing. Use an immigration attorney, preferably, who knows what they're doing. That way, you don't have to worry too much about whether the application is being done correctly or not.
Right. But thank you so much. I mean, the bunker, I would say all the best. First, I think, do you need an attorney? I think I would say yes, you do need an attorney. Maybe they can direct you, look at your situation, qualifications, and everything, and maybe they can direct you best to, which visa to take up and how can you pursue your American dream. All right, all the best. And thank you so much, Prashanthi, for doing this today. We had a great time chatting with you, having you here, for your valuable time that you shared with us, and also these very, very enlightening answers you gave to all our viewers. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. It's always a pleasure to be here. Look forward to seeing you again with our interesting questions and viewers next week.
For sure, for sure. Thank you so much, Prashanthi. Have a great day ahead. See you next week.
Bye.
And viewers out there, thank you so much, for joining us today. I had a great time. So once again, I will say um, thank you so much to none other than Attorney Prashanthi Reddy, for sharing your invaluable expertise with us. And it's been a very, very enlightening session. So, folks out there, if you still are watching this after the stream has ended and you have questions, you can keep commenting. We have our experts who will be very happy to get back to you with good answers. And for those who also need further assistance, you can contact Attorney Prashanthi Reddy directly also, and contact me. My contact details are on the screen. You can call me on the number 408-335-6444. Email me at nipa@higheritpeople.com, and even visit our website www.higheritpeople.com. And if you're looking for project placement, visas, TNs, green cards, anything you want to know that is immigration or job related, please feel free to contact us and also visit our website. It also has a very interactive portion where you can ask questions directly there. And yes, thank you so much for joining us today. This is Nipasa Pradhan signing off for now from Immigration and Jobs Talk Show. Have a great day.
Consultant seeking a new opportunity? We offer job placement services for US citizens, green cards, EADs, and visa holders. We also sponsor various work visas like H-1B, E3, TN, and green cards. 20 plus years of experience in the industry. Exceptional employee benefits. Highly rated by our employees. Global presence with 200 plus recruiters and direct clients. Connect with us. Call us in the number 408-335-6444 or mail us at nipa@higheritpeople.com or visit our website www.higheritpeople.com.